They say evil doesn't always come with horns or fire in its eyes. Sometimes, it wears makeup, smiles sweetly, and calls you best friend. It doesn't always come through the door as an enemy. Sometimes, it walks in gently, holding a small bag, begging for shelter, and thanking you for saving its life, while secretly planning the slow destruction of yours. And that was the tragic mistake Jessica made. Jessica was the kind of woman every woman admired, soft-spoken, warm, kind, and blessed with everything many prayed for. She had a good job, a comfortable apartment in the city of Lagos, and above all, a loving man who adored her, Williams. Her life was calm, peaceful, until that one Sunday evening, when a desperate knock on her gate changed everything. Standing outside that gate was Gold, the girl she once knew casually from an event, now looking helpless, worn out, and heartbroken. Her makeup had faded, her wig tilted to one side, and her handbag looked like it had survived a war. Jessica could have asked questions, she could have ignored the call or turned her away. But her heart was too kind. And that act of kindness became the door through which pain walked into her life. Because sometimes, it's not witches or charms that destroy good women, it's the people they trust. Those who sit at your table, eat your food, and smile in your face, while silently ending the life you built. What started as mercy soon became manipulation. What began as friendship ended as betrayal. And the same girl Jessica welcomed into her home would soon do the unimaginable, with the man she loved. Stay with me till the end, because this is one of the most painful and unbelievable stories of friendship, jealousy, and heartbreak you'll ever hear. And what happened to Gold in the end is proof that karma never forgets an address. You are watching African Tales by Ijele. Please like, share, and subscribe. The Sunday evening air was warm and quiet in Lagos when Jessica heard a soft knock at her gate. She wasn't expecting anyone. She was in her living room, folding laundry, when the knock came again, weak, uncertain, almost pitiful. "Who's there?" she called out. A familiar voice answered faintly. "It's me, Gold." Jessica's eyes widened in surprise. Gold? The same girl she had met briefly months ago at a friend's birthday? She quickly walked to the door and peeped through the window. There she was, standing outside with a small box, a faded handbag, and eyes swollen from tears. Jessica's heart broke instantly. She opened the gate quickly. "Gold? My God, what happened to you?" Gold smiled weakly. "Jessica, I didn't know where else to go." Without thinking twice, Jessica wrapped her arms around her. Gold smelled of exhaustion, dust, and perfume that had lost its sweetness. "Come inside," Jessica said softly. "You look so tired." The moment Gold stepped into the apartment, she stopped. Her eyes widened slowly, her lips parted in silent awe. Jessica's home was elegant but modest, golden curtains, marble tiles, a chandelier that cast soft light over a velvet sofa. The faint scent of jasmine floated through the air. It wasn't the kind of house you'd expect one woman to live in. It was warm, feminine, and full of peace. Gold stood there, frozen, her eyes darting across every corner, the beautiful paintings, the modern kitchen, the fresh flowers on the dining table. "You live here alone?" she asked quietly. Jessica smiled. "Yes. It's not much, but it's home." Gold chuckled bitterly. "If this is not much, I wonder what mansion looks like." Jessica laughed softly and helped her carry her things inside. "You must be hungry. Sit down, let me get you something to eat." Gold sat on the couch, still scanning the room. Everything around her screamed comfort, something she had never truly known. Jessica returned with a tray of jollof rice, chicken, and chilled juice. "Here," she said kindly. Gold's eyes softened. "Jessica, you're too kind. You didn't have to." "Come on," Jessica smiled. "We're friends now, aren't we?" Gold nodded slowly. "Friends," she whispered. But deep inside, her thoughts were far from gratitude. As she ate, she kept glancing around the apartment, the designer handbags, the jewelry box on the shelf, the soft glow of the TV. How does she afford all this? She wondered. Jessica wasn't married, yet she lived like a queen. A small fire of curiosity, and something darker, began to flicker in Gold's chest. Later that night, after she had bathed and settled in the guest room, Gold lay on the bed staring at the ceiling. The room was beautiful, silky gray curtains, a king-sized bed, a full-length mirror, and faint music from the living room. She whispered under her breath, "Some people are just lucky." But even as she said it, jealousy began to whisper in her heart. The next morning, the aroma of fried rice filled the house. Jessica was in the kitchen humming softly when Gold walked in, tying her wrapper loosely. "Good morning," Jessica said cheerfully. "Did you sleep well?" "Yes," Gold said, rubbing her eyes. "I almost forgot how a real bed feels." Jessica smiled. "Come and eat. I made breakfast." The table looked like a feast: fried rice, grilled chicken, salad, and fresh juice. Gold blinked. "You cook like this every morning?" Jessica laughed. "Sometimes. I just love good food." Gold picked her fork slowly. "Even your house smells expensive," she said teasingly. Jessica chuckled. "It's just Grace." Gold froze for a moment. Grace. That was always the answer of people who had everything, as if life just handed them blessings for free. As they ate, Jessica's phone rang. She smiled and picked it up. "Hi baby, yes, I miss you too. Okay, I'll see you tonight." Her voice turned soft, playful, full of warmth. Gold pretended not to listen, but every word cut through her chest. When Jessica hung up, her face glowed with quiet joy. "That must be someone special," Gold said, forcing a smile. Jessica blushed. "Williams. My man." Gold laughed faintly. "Ah, the lucky one." Jessica smiled shyly. "He's amazing. You'll meet him soon." But Gold said nothing. Her smile was tight, her eyes darker now. That night, when Jessica slept peacefully, Gold lay awake staring at the ceiling. Her mind replayed every detail: the house, the man on the phone, the laughter, the peace. "How does she have it all?" she whispered to herself. "And me? What did I ever do wrong?" Her heart felt heavy, tight with envy she couldn't explain. The next few days passed quietly. Jessica went about her life, cooking, working, laughing, and Gold pretended to be happy too. But each time Jessica dressed up for a date, Gold's eyes followed her movements with quiet resentment. Jessica's beauty was natural: full curves, glowing skin, and that soft confidence that didn't need effort. Gold often stood before the mirror when Jessica left, trying to pose like her, to imagine herself in her shoes, but something always felt missing. Her chest was almost flat, her body less curvy, and her confidence fading. She whispered to her reflection, "If I had what she has, no man would ever look past me." That night she didn't sleep. The days turned to weeks, and Gold's silent envy began to grow roots. Every time Williams came to pick Jessica up, Gold would peep through the curtain, watching their laughter, their affection, the tenderness between them. She smiled outwardly, but inside she was burning. One evening, she stood at the balcony as Williams dropped Jessica off. Jessica waved goodbye with a happy smile, while Williams' gaze lingered on her with admiration. Gold whispered under her breath, "Why her? Why not me?" And that was the night her thoughts began to change direction. The line between admiration and jealousy disappeared. And from that moment on, the girl Jessica helped from the street began plotting her downfall, slowly, silently, and dangerously. Gold's smile that morning was too small to hide the storm beneath it. She moved through Jessica's apartment with the practiced ease of someone who had learned to wear gratitude like a mask. She laughed when Jessica laughed, ate when Jessica cooked, folded her borrowed clothes and hung them neatly as if she'd always belonged there. But every polite laugh, every careful compliment was a step on a path she'd quietly chosen, a path built from hunger, and the dangerous idea that the world would only notice her once she changed what sat on her chest. A week after that warm welcome, when Lagos hummed and the city's traffic sighed like an old tired beast, Gold asked for a favor. It was not the timid plea of a humiliated woman begging for coins. She sat across from Jessica in the cozy kitchen, sunlight catching at the rim of her teacup. Her fingers toyed with the handle, eyes lowered, voice fragile as a cracked mirror. "Jessica," she began slowly, "there's something I need to tell you. I'm in trouble." Jessica's face softened immediately. That was the thing about her. She felt other people's pains as if they were her own. "Tell me, baby," she said, sliding a plate of akra closer. "Whatever it is, we'll find a way." Gold looked up quickly, and for a moment there was a flash of something like shame. "It's big," she admitted. "I need help. Not small money. I need 4 million naira." The words hung heavy in the room. 4 million naira. Even spoken, the number felt like a stranger at the table. Jessica's eyebrows rose. 4 million? God, Gold, what is it for? The question was natural, motherly. Jessica believed in help. She also believed in honesty. Gold swallowed. Her throat tightened like a rope being pulled. "My sister, she needs help," she lied. Her voice trembled with a practiced urgency. "She's sick, hospital bills, they need surgery. I don't have anyone else, Jess. I tried everything." Jessica's face crumpled. She pushed back from the table and took Gold's hands inside hers. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Of course, I'll help. Don't worry. I'll talk to Williams, he always understands." Gold's heart thudded in a rhythm that matched the city's distant horns. She had rehearsed this moment in her head so many times that when Jessica placed a hand over hers, she felt a wash of triumph she dared not show. She nodded and let the soft lie sit between them like a sick child. That afternoon, true to her gentle nature, Jessica called Williams. She didn't beg, she simply asked him to help a friend in need. Williams listened, the line quiet, his voice patient. "All right, love. Tell her I'll send it tomorrow." There it was, quick compassion, a call to action. A transfer that would change everything, but for Jessica it was only an answer to a friend's prayer. Gold left the apartment with an envelope that glowed more than paper. The weight of it felt like destiny. She hugged Jessica in public, kissed her cheek, called her a savior. Inside, her chest beat fast with a secret jubilation. Later that night she called Jack. "Babe," he said, his voice warm. He had been good to her, honest, and poor but tender. "Where are you? I miss you." Gold's words were sharp now, impatient. "Jack, I'm moving on." She spoke as if detaching a bandage. The quick pull was meant to hurt less for both of them. "This isn't working." Jack was stunned. "What? Gold, what happened?" "You just came back." His confusion bled into despair. She told him what she had decided, that she deserved more, that Lagos had space for women who knew how to take what they wanted. She said it without guilt. She said it like the woman she intended to become. And when his voice cracked and she heard the betrayal in his silence, Gold felt no remorse. She had a plan, and she believed with the whole of herself that the plan would birth the life she had always wanted. 2 days later, she left for the clinic. In the car, looking at the hurried city outside, she rehearsed the new contours of her future. She imagined walking into rooms and having heads turn. She imagined herself, finally noticed, finally rewarded. The operation was a doorway, she told herself. The rest would follow. Months slipped by like the turning of heavy, secret pages. Gold's calls were rare and brief. Sometimes she spoke fast, other times not at all. Jessica, whose heart believed in the simplest version of truth, consoled herself with the idea that Gold was healing, getting back on her feet. She gave the girl space. She said prayers. She missed the quiet company that had once filled her rooms. Then one shining morning, the kind of morning Lagos uses to show off, Gold appeared at Jessica's gate. She walked like she belonged at the center of a stage. Her skin seemed to glow, not from light but from a fierce new confidence. Her gown fit like it had been sewn out of her dreams, hugging curves that had been hidden before. And when she stood there, her chest was new, full, lifted, deliberate. Gold moved as if the world finally noticed her. Jessica stood frozen, breath caught in the middle of a sentence. "Gold?" she whispered. Gold smiled, proud, theatrical. "Hello, Jessica," she said. She dropped her handbag and allowed herself a pose, the kind practiced in dressing rooms and on social feeds. She expected admiration. She wanted it. And she got it, in ways that warmed her like slow sunlight. Friends they met on the street turned with curiosity. Men's eyes lingered. Women's looks turned between polite and envious. Gold drank it in. But she had not returned just for the applause. She had returned hungry for something more dangerous. She wanted to take what Jessica had, quietly, carefully, believably. She wanted the life that sat beside Jessica, the lover, the comfort, the admiration. At first she played a new version of the grateful guest. She praised Jessica's cooking, laughed at her jokes, complimented her home. She asked about Williams casually, listened with an actor's intent. She found ways to be near the times when Williams called, always nearby when the phone lit up, offering a laugh and a small teasing comment. It was a slow game. Gold learned how to tilt her head, to let a smile hold just a second longer than politeness demanded. She learned the art of the look that says "I'm available," without saying the word. She wore tight tops and shorter hems with a confidence that seemed to magnetize attention. And attention, once given, became easy to keep. Jack tried to come back into her life. He brought cheap flowers and quiet apologies. He begged to be seen, to understand why she had slammed the door on the life they had lived together. But Gold had rehearsed her new voice. "I've changed," she told him coldly. "I can't go back." Jack left with the kind of silence that breaks a man. Gold felt nothing but relief. And then there was Williams. He began to notice her in a way that made her stomach flip and her mind sharpen. It happened in small moments, a compliment that lasted too long, a conversation that carried a hint of intimacy, a touch that lingered. Gold placed herself in those spaces where small touches could grow into something bigger. She listened when he spoke of business, she laughed when he joked. She wore perfume on the days she knew he would drop by. She became what desire looks for in the pause between heartbeats. Jessica, busy with kindness, missed the undercurrent. She saw that Gold had come back different, and was glad. After all, wasn't that what she wanted for her friend? She did not think to question the speed at which Gold had changed. She believed the story Gold offered, the tale of a sister saved from illness, of hard-fought opportunity. Jessica's faith in people was beautiful. It was also a soft place where others could land. Gold, meanwhile, walked a tightrope every day, balancing charm with stealth, gratitude with calculation. She never spoke of her plan out loud. She never admitted the cold desires that had rooted in her chest. But in the quiet center of her, satisfaction grew. She had the power to bend attention, to gather admiration like a new currency. For months she practiced the subtle arts that turned looks into favors and smiles into invitations. As prosperity touched her life, she burned the bridges behind her. Old friends like Jack faded. The life she had known dimmed. What remained was a new orbit, boutiques, late dinners, the shimmer of nights where laughter was currency. People offered her drinks, and doors opened without her asking. For Gold, it felt like a harvest harvested at last. Only Jessica's soul began to feel the change, not immediately, but in slow, soft ways. Williams was quieter. He called less for Jessica's company, and came home bearing the tiredness of a man tempted by something he could not name. He started offering distant excuses, meetings that ran late. Jessica's texts went unanswered for stretches that used to be short. A tiny, sinking thing took root, the seed of worry that had sprouted the night she'd found Gold at her gate. One evening, Gold sat alone by Jessica's balcony after dinner. Legos glittered like the inside of a jewel beyond the railing. She scrolled through messages from admirers she hadn't known she had. She smiled to herself, the kind of smile that knows it has crossed a line. "Is it worth it?" she whispered into the night, to herself, to the dark. She did not answer. Gold had paid the price to be seen. The cost had not just been money. It had been the slow, loosened cords of empathy, the erosion of past tenderness, the deserting of a poor lover who loved her small and steady. She had sacrificed pieces of her old self for a mirror that finally reflected a new image. And yet, sitting there with the city sprawled below, she felt no regret. She only felt the light, dangerous thrill of a woman who had learned how to get what she wanted from the world. Back inside, Jessica straightened cushions and tried to ignore the hollow in her chest. Nights had begun to sit differently on her shoulders. She hummed old hymns softly, the kind women used to stitch broken feelings back together. She told herself she would speak to Williams the next morning. She would ask him, gently, for the truth. For now, she drew a calm breath and prayed that charity would not breed cruelty. That was all either of them could do, one woman cradling the last of her trust, the other polishing a new throne she believed she deserved. Weeks folded into months. Gold's presence in William's life grew like a vine finding its way inside a warm house. She had learned to be in the right place at the right time, to laugh at the right moments, and to present herself like an answer to a man's vanity. Williams, distracted by his own weaknesses and stunned by new desire, began to miss the marks he once hit for Jessica. He started making excuses. He started to choose the easier laughter. Gold watched this shift with the steady breathing of someone who had traded patience for results. Her eyes followed William's footsteps with an ownership that was frightening to imagine. She imagined him leaving tokens and notes in pockets she knew how to reach. She imagined the unfolding of scenes where she would stand at the center of attention, the chosen one. It was not enough to have a housing of marble and velvet. She wanted to be the warmth men came home to, the name whispered with longing. And so she moved like a tide, slow and irresistible. Gold's return had changed the equation of Jessica's life. What started as mercy had become a test, of trust, of limits, of how far kindness could be stretched before it snapped. Jessica's heart, generous as always, still believed in redemption. She could not imagine Gold as a hidden storm. She could not picture betrayal wearing lipstick and a borrowed dress. But every kind act has its own risk. Every open door invites both gratitude and the footsteps of those who would take. The apartment that had once been calm began to feel like a stage where a drama was writing itself in invisible ink. At the close of that chapter, Gold stood at the window of Jessica's home and watched as William's car lights dissolved into Lagos night. Her reflection in the pane looked like a stranger she was ready to marry into her life, proud, determined, ruthless. It was a look that promised victory. And somewhere, in the small quiet of the living room, Jessica prayed to keep her heart whole, unaware that mercy had planted a seed whose harvest would be bitter and heavy. The morning sun rose slowly over Lagos. Jessica was in the kitchen, frying plantain and humming a soft tune when Williams called. "Hey baby." His voice came warmly from the phone. She smiled. "Good morning, my love. I was just thinking about you." Williams laughed softly. "I hope it's good thoughts. I'll stop by later this evening. I have a surprise for you." Jessica's heart melted. "A surprise? Tell me first." "Nope," he said teasingly. "You'll see when I get there." She ended the call smiling, her heart full of joy. From the doorway, Gold stood quietly, pretending to scroll through her phone, but her ears caught every word. Her lips curled into a small, strange smile, the kind that hides something behind it. "Williams is coming?" she asked softly. Jessica turned happily. "Yes. He said he has a surprise for me." Gold smiled faintly. "Ah, that's sweet. You're lucky." Jessica laughed shyly. "You'll meet a good man too one day." But Gold didn't answer. She only nodded and walked away. Inside her heart, jealousy grew louder. She had waited long enough. She had changed her body, her look, her confidence, all for this moment. And now, she wanted what Jessica had been enjoying, William's love, attention, and care. That evening, Williams arrived early, dressed neatly as always. He knocked, and Gold opened the door before Jessica could come out. Their eyes met. For a short moment, the air stood still. "Good evening," Williams said, smiling politely. "Evening," Gold replied with a soft voice. "Jessica will be out soon." Her gown hugged her new body perfectly, her perfume filling the space between them. Williams cleared his throat and looked away quickly. "All right, I'll wait." She stepped aside. "Please come in. Let me get you something to drink." Before he could speak, she had already walked to the kitchen, her hips moving slowly, deliberately. William sat on the couch, uneasy. Gold returned with a cold glass of juice. "Here," she said sweetly, handing it to him. Their fingers brushed lightly. That small touch, innocent at first, made both of them pause. Just then, Jessica's voice came from the bedroom. "Baby! I'm coming!" Gold quickly stepped aside, pretending to adjust her gown. Williams exhaled, pretending to check his phone. Jessica walked in smiling, her face glowing with love. When she hugged him, Gold watched quietly from behind, her face calm but her eyes cold. That night, after Williams left, Jessica talked about him for almost an hour. "Oh, Gold, he's the best man I've ever met. He's kind, gentle, always surprises me. I think I've found my forever." Gold forced a smile. "That's good. You deserve it." But when Jessica slept, Gold lay awake staring at the ceiling. Her mind wouldn't stop racing. "Forever?" she whispered bitterly. "Let's see about that." From that night, Gold began her plan. It started small, innocent-looking, but dangerous underneath. Whenever Williams visited, Gold would make sure she looked her best. Sometimes she'd wear a tight top or short dress. When she passed him, she'd smile politely, pretending not to notice his eyes. Williams tried to ignore the temptation, but as days passed, it became harder. He was a man, and Gold knew exactly what she was doing. One evening, Jessica was out on an errand when Williams stopped by unannounced. Gold opened the door again. "She's not home yet," she said softly. "Oh, really? I'll just wait," Williams said. Gold smiled faintly. "You can sit." They talked, harmless talk about work, about Lagos traffic, about anything at all. But the more they talked, the closer they got, too close. Gold laughed at his jokes, her hand resting lightly on his arm. He didn't stop her. When Jessica returned home and found them laughing together, she smiled, not suspecting anything. She even said, "Ah, you two are already friends now." Gold smiled innocently. Williams forced a laugh. But their eyes met briefly, and something dangerous passed between them. The following weeks were strange. Williams started acting different. He stopped calling as often. He canceled 2 dates, saying he was busy. Jessica didn't want to believe something was wrong, but her heart started to worry. At the same time, Gold began to act strange too. She started dressing up and going out often, always with a mysterious smile. When Jessica asked, "Where are you going these days?" Gold would simply say, "I met someone new. He's good to me." Jessica was happy for her. "Wow. That's great, I'm so happy for you." But deep down, she wondered who that someone was. Then came the day everything fell apart. It was a Saturday morning. Jessica was getting ready to go to the salon. Williams had promised to pick her up and drop her off before going for a meeting. When he arrived, Gold opened the door, wearing only a short silk robe. "Hi," she said softly, her voice slow and smooth. Williams blinked, surprised. "Oh, hi. Is Jessica ready?" "Almost," she said, stepping closer. Her perfume filled the room. He nodded, looking away again, but his heart was beating fast. Gold smiled faintly, and as she walked past him, her body brushed against his arm. He froze. For a few seconds their eyes met again, too close, too knowing. Then Jessica appeared with her bag. "Baby. Sorry for keeping you waiting." Williams quickly smiled, pretending everything was normal. "No problem," he said softly. Gold waved at them as they left. But the smile she gave Williams before the car drove off said everything. At the salon, Jessica realized she had left her phone in Williams' car. "Oh my God!" she gasped. The hairdresser laughed. "Call him to bring it back." Jessica sighed. "I can't." My number is in the phone. She thought for a while. Let me just take a cab home and get it. I'll be back soon. When she got home, the gate was slightly open. She stepped inside quietly, smiling to herself. But the smile vanished when she heard something from the living room. Soft laughter. A woman's laughter. She stopped. Her heart started beating faster. Slowly, she moved closer, and when she reached the door, she pushed it gently. What she saw broke her completely. Williams was on the couch, half-dressed. And on top of him was Gold. Her best friend. Her own friend. The same woman she had fed, sheltered, and helped. For a moment, no one moved. The air was heavy. Williams? Jessica's voice shook. What is this? He jumped up quickly. Jessica. I can explain. Explain what? She screamed. Explain this? With her? Gold stood up slowly, adjusting her robe, her face calm, too calm. Yes, she said coldly. I did it. And I don't regret it. Jessica's eyes widened, tears already pouring. Gold, you can't be serious. Gold smiled bitterly. Oh please. Stop pretending. You thought you were the only beautiful one? The only one men can love? Look at me now. She touched her chest proudly. Now I have what it takes. And guess what? He noticed. Jessica shook her head in disbelief. So this is why you did all that? To steal my man? To compete with me? Gold laughed softly. Steal? No. I just took what I wanted. Jessica, please. Williams tried to speak, but she raised her hand sharply. Don't, she said, her voice breaking. Don't say another word. You made your choice. Her tears flowed freely now. I took you in, Gold. I fed you. I helped you. And this is how you repay me? Gold rolled her eyes. You helped yourself, not me. Don't act like a saint. Williams looked down, shame covering his face. Jessica took her handbag slowly, her hands trembling. She looked at Williams one last time and said softly, You've made your choice. Enjoy what you've chosen. Then she turned and walked out quietly. Outside, the wind felt heavy on her skin. Her legs felt weak, her eyes burning from tears. She didn't scream. She didn't fight. She just walked, slowly, painfully, and silently, away from the two people she had loved and trusted. Inside the house, Gold stood proudly, breathing fast. Williams sat on the couch, guilt written all over his face. Williams, Gold said slowly, you saw me. You liked me. Don't pretend now. But he didn't answer. For the first time, he looked at her, and saw the emptiness behind her beauty. He realized what he had lost, a woman who loved him truly, because of one moment of lust. He rubbed his face, shaking his head slowly. What have I done? He whispered. Gold looked away, pretending not to hear him. But in her heart, a small crack appeared, a strange, silent fear she couldn't name. Because deep down she knew. You can steal love, but you can't keep peace. And sometimes, the very thing you chase with envy becomes the thing that destroys you. Jessica walked slowly that evening under the dim Lagos sky. She didn't know where her legs were taking her. She only knew she had to keep moving before the pain swallowed her whole. Her chest felt heavy. Her eyes were swollen from tears. Her world, the one she built with love and trust, had just crashed before her. She found herself sitting by the roadside, close to a small food seller's stand. The woman looked at her with pity. Madam, you want buy rice? Jessica shook her head silently. No, thank you. The woman looked at her again and said softly, Whatever it is, you go day fine. Jessica forced a weak smile. Amen. Those simple words touched her more than she expected. After some minutes, she took a cab to her friend's place, a woman named Ruth, who worked with her before. When Ruth opened the door and saw Jessica's red eyes, she didn't ask questions. She simply hugged her tightly. Jessica, what happened? Jessica broke down in tears again. Ruth, I lost everything. The man I love, and the friend I helped. Both of them. Ruth held her tighter. Come inside. Sit down. Tell me what happened. Jessica told her everything, from the day Gold came with a small bag, to the moment she found her on top of Williams. Ruth listened quietly, shaking her head in disbelief. So after all your kindness, she did this to you? Jessica nodded slowly, tears still rolling. Ruth took her hand gently and said, My sister, you see this life, some people's hearts are black. You don't need to fight them. Let time and God handle it. Jessica sighed deeply. But it hurts, Ruth. It hurts so much. I know, Ruth said softly. But you'll rise again. Believe me. That night, Jessica slept at Ruth's place. It was the first peaceful sleep she'd had in weeks, even though her heart was still broken. Not everyone who smiles at you truly loves you. Some people only come close to study your blessings. You don't need to fight your enemies. Time and karma will do it for you. True beauty isn't what you buy with money. It's what peace gives you inside. Watch out for the second episode. When karma deals with Gold and William, what happens next will shock you. See you in next episode. African Tales by Ijele.